for quorum?
5. That was what the board agreed to for quorum purposes.
Okay, no, just double check.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Are we ready to start the recording?
Yes,
Trustee
we are.
Adele? Yeah, okay.
My apologies, everyone. I was having technology issues and just got on, so my apologies. So before we begin tonight's meeting, I would like to remind everyone to turn off their cell phones and any electronic devices they may have. And I want to state that this school board meeting is taking place on Treaty 1 land and the homeland of the Métis Nation. Call to order and roll call. Mr. Cochin, please proceed with roll call.
Roll call for the regular board meeting of Winnipeg School Division for December 20th, 2021. Trustee Adele.
Here.
Trustee Reid.
Here.
Trustee Murdoch. Trustee Dumont.
Here.
Trustee Tchaikovsky. Trustee Chen.
Here.
Trustee Broughton.
I'm here.
Approval of agenda. Moved by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Reid, that the agenda be approved. Are there any additions?
Trustee Adele, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to move that we add COVID-19 to our in-camera agenda.
Can I get a seconder, please? Trustee Reid. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Delegations. I would like to call upon Ms. Hepner to begin her presentation to the board regarding Spanish bilingual at Earl Grey School. In accordance with procedural bylaw 1263, section 32.8, you shall be granted 10 minutes to make your presentation to the board. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Trustee Adele, and also to all the other trustees and those in attendance. My name is Kathy Hefner, and I am a parent of a child at Earl Grey School, which I'm here to speak about. Some of you may have remembered a number of years ago when I proposed to the Winnipeg School Division to start the Spanish bilingual program, and it started in 2016 because we were able to show significant community support, and there were benefits to being able to add another bilingual program within the Winnipeg School Division. Earl Grey is a nursery to grade 8 school, and originally the commitment from the Board of Trustees was to have the program, the Spanish bilingual program, from kindergarten to grade 6. And so we would like to propose, I would like to propose that the Board of Trustees consider that the program continue to grade 8, seeing as the school goes to grade 8, and that would begin in the fall of 2023 with the grade 7 class. Currently, there are 85 students that are participating in the Spanish bilingual program, and I'm fully aware that there are budgetary constraints that the board has been burdened with between a rock and a hard place, really, with having to cut some significant programs. And but some of the conversations regarding the decrease in revenue has to do, one part of it is the exit of many of the students from the Winnipeg School Division to other school divisions, and therefore our numbers are down, and therefore our provincial funding is down. And I would like to consider the fact that Earl Grey, because the Spanish bilingual program, Winnipeg School Division is in the entire catchment, but it's the only program in Manitoba. With 85 students attending the program, 23% of those students are from outside of the division. These students are transported by their families to the school, and they would continue to do so in grades 7 and 8. These students add to our declining school population, or division population. And if this program were to stop at grade 6, like originally planned, these students for grade 7 and 8 most likely will return back to their neighborhood schools, which would be outside of the Winnipeg School Division. Right now, 27% of the students in the program are taking the bus, but with the request for the program to be expanded to grade 7 and 8, there would be no additional costs because busing is not provided for students in grade 7 and 8. And again, these parents are committed to the program and would transport their children if they live farther away. They would transport them to the school. So the school division would not have to incur any extra transportation costs. as well as there is funding from the Spanish Embassy through the Memorandum of Understanding. Things like teacher training have been provided that the Earl Grey teachers have been able to tap into, as well as there's additional resources for Spanish EA. That just needs to be ironed out if the school were to be able to take part in that. It's just that the school would have to provide room and board and to find a host family. And right now things are a little bit complicated with hosting people. So that has not been taken up, but those are resources that are available. So I focused on finances, and though money is very important and it really is what pays for programs, it's not the only reason why a program like this should continue. My daughter, Elena, who's in grade 5, has been thriving in the program. I'm amazed at her bilingualism. And in fact, when tested for literacy, the students in the bilingual program are at par or even above their English counterparts, their peers in English. So it just shows that really promoting literacy skills, which is a priority at our school, and I know for the division. It's been quite amazing to also see students whose first language is Spanish to be able to be in this program and to see them being able to transition to learn English in a very unique way. And that actually has decreased some of the burdens on the EAL program. So it's a really important thing for our school community. Elena has learned a lot about different Spanish-speaking cultures. She's become more globally aware and passionate about diversity. She's thriving at school, and I'd love for her to continue this program to grade 8. She's already talking about exchange programs in high school and how she'd like to return to her birth country of Bolivia, and how she'll just be able to navigate seamlessly in the language and culture because of her experiences in this program at Earl Grey. This passion that Elena holds is not just for her, but it's also for all of the students and the families. It's not even unique to families whose first language is Spanish. We have a lot of students who come from a different background and have been able to be enriched by this language program. Earl Grey is also a school that is really tight-knit and a community school. And as the students get older and enter into junior high, we would love to be able to see the Spanish bilingual program in the junior high reach down and mentor the younger students, which is what we are doing in our English track already. It would be great for them to be able to see how they can learn and grow in the language. So we would like to ask the Board of Trustees to consider having the Spanish bilingual program continue to grade 8. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for sharing, Ms. Hepner. A motion is not required to receive presentations. Trustees, do you have any questions of Ms. Hepner and what was said? Trustee Chen?
Thank you, Ms. Hepner, for your presentation. I have 2 questions. First one is, are you speaking on behalf of yourself or your parent council, or do you have support from your parent council?
Yes, well, I'm speaking on behalf of myself first and foremost, because I recognize, but I'm also the chair of the parent council, and so we do have support. We had 3 parents who wrote letters that I believe was forwarded to the trustees, and we will have more families that will give their support. But there are 85 children in the program, and so they represent almost 85 families that would like to see this program continue. They see the benefit for their children.
Thank you. My second question is, I believe the power of multilingual language. We have a lot of students who know 2 languages, 3 languages, and even more. And I myself have had the pleasure to attend Earl Grey's concert, and I have seen the confidence in our students and the incorporation of Spanish program into the general program and the winter concert. I'm wondering, with the expansion, say the board expanded, would the number of students maintain or increase, be able to increase or be able to maintain in the future years?
Yes, the students will be able to maintain the numbers. Like if I take a look at the students coming up, in grade 5, there's 8 students. In grade 4, there's 14. In grade 3, there's 13. In grade 2, there's 20. In kindergarten, in grade 1, there's 30. So the numbers there are there that show that the students will continue. And also because Earl Grey is a multi-age school, it does give the school flexibility to be able to make different groupings of multi-age classrooms, even in Spanish. So there's a great possibility of that, but the program is growing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your questions.
Trustee Broughton?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Epner, for your presentation to the board. Always enjoy when you can join us. A lot has changed at Earl Grey over the past number of years since you originally came to the board with this discussion about bringing a Spanish immersion program to the Winnipeg School Division. Can you tell me a little bit more about, from your perspective as a parent and an active member of the school community, what this program has done for not only the school, but the community at large?
Well, definitely is a program that has added numbers to a school community that prior to Spanish bilingual was seeing a decline in enrollment. We've seen an increase of students from outside of the division. And we've often seen and talked about our diversity within the school community, but I think that has increased significantly with the Spanish bilingual program. We've had people who've moved from like outside of Winnipeg and contacted us from outside of Winnipeg to be able to move within the school division. I think that having students in the building that are actively speaking a second language has really helped those students whose first language may not be French, English, or even Spanish feel more comfortable in our school building. And so hearing different languages just really promotes a sense of support and inclusion. And I love that. Definitely also a focus on culture. Elena often talks about the different cultural aspects that she's learning about a country. And then she asks about, well, do we do certain things like this in Canada? And it's really neat to think that other people live a different way. I just see how that really just promotes a global awareness, but they don't have to travel far to be able to do that. So those are just a few of the benefits that we've seen in this school community since the program has started.
Again, thank you very much for your presentation today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your questions.
Is there any further questions? Seeing none, I thank you very much, Ms. Hebner, for coming and presenting to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 4, reading and confirming of minutes. Moved by Trustee Reid, seconded by Trustee Shinkowski, that the minutes dated December 6, 2021 be approved as distributed. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Presentation and consideration of reports. Superintendent's report number 13-2021 dated December 20th, 2021. Moved by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Dumont, that subject to Manitoba Education Funding Branch approval, the tender of Oakwood Roofing and Sheet Metal Company Limited to supply all material and perform all work in connection with the roof replacement 2022-1976A project at Harrow School be accepted in accordance with the plans and specifications therefore, for the total amount of $145,054 being the tender price, including provincial sales tax, excluding goods and services tax, and that the proper officers of the division be authorized to enter into a contract with Oakwood Roofing and Sheet Metal Company Limited for the carrying out of the work. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Reid, that subject to Manitoba Education Funding Branch approval, the tender of Oakwood Roofing and Sheet Metal Company Limited to supply all material and perform all work in connection with roof replacement 2022-1956-B, C, D, E, and 1976-A project at Kent Road School be accepted in accordance with the plans and specifications therefore for the total amount of $391,826.88, being the tender price including provincial sales tax, excluding goods and services tax, and that the proper officers of the division be authorized to enter into a contract with Oakwood Roofing and Sheet Metal Company Limited for the carrying out of the work. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Chen, that subject to Manitoba Education Funding Branch approval, the tender of Norwin Roofing Limited to supply all material and perform all work in connection with roof replacement 2022-1913C and 1987 A, B, and C project at Principal Sparling School be accepted in accordance with the plans and specifications therefore for the total amount of $203,592, being the tender price, including provincial sales tax, excluding goods and services tax, and that the proper officers of the division be authorized to enter into a contract with Norwin Roofing Limited for the carrying out of the work. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Chen, that the tender of Quality Air Control Limited to supply all material and perform all work in connection with the domestic water systems upgrade at Administration Building Number 2 to be accepted in accordance with the plans and specifications therefore for the total amount of $86,086.03, being the tender price, including provincial sales tax, excluding goods and services tax, and that the proper officers of the division be authorized to enter into a contract with Quality Air Control Limited for the carrying out of the work. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Dumont, seconded by Trustee Shinkowski, that the services of Kristen Fallis be loaned to the Winnipeg Teachers Association on a full-time basis for the remainder of the 2020-2021 school year, the association to reimburse the division for salary and other salary-related costs. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. 5.2, Finance Personnel Committee Report Number 4-2021, dated December 6, 2021. Moved by Trustee Broughton, seconded by Trustee Dumont, that the Financial Personnel Committee Report Number 4-2021, dated December 6, 2021, be received as information. All those in favor?
Chair, I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So in the report regarding School Resource Officer Program, it says the committee agreed to continue discussions on this program during this year's budget discussions. Could the committee chair clarify what it means? It means this program will come to our budget discussion as a consideration in the budget or something.
So, as the board is aware, we went through a process of reducing the SRO program from a budgetary standpoint. There is an agreement within committee to continue discussions about how to provide an inclusive, safe, and caring framework, as it states in the report, and also as a part of some of the discussions that occurred around the SRO program with the community over the past number of months. There was some discussion about the reallocation of some of those funds towards the ideas of how to support inclusive, safe, enhancing the community framework of our schools. So while the discussion is continuing around some of the ancillary parts of the SRO program, what isn't being discussed is reinstating the SRO program or any changes like that. So we heard from the community that it wasn't just about changing how SROs are utilized in schools, but also reformulating how we might allocate those funds. And that's where our discussion continues.
Okay, yeah, so that's clear. So it really means that there continues discussions on the alternative approaches or available resources.
Again, yes,
yeah,
that's what the committee intends to continue to discuss. Ultimately, it's a board decision for the outcome of the budget. So I don't want to preclude what will or will not happen in the future, but the focus from the committee, as I recall, is not necessarily an SRO program, but how do we continue to support schools and make them inclusive, safe, and approachable and accessible for the entire community.
Chair, may I ask just a follow-up question?
Yes, one more question.
Yeah. So last year's budget, the board made a decision, and it took effective on July 1st, 2021. However, we knew it would be removed. We knew that in March because that was the time that the board approved the budget. So I'm wondering, has there any efforts from the administration or discussions between the administration and the school's principals regarding alternative approaches and available resources since March 2021, since March?
I can answer that question to some extent, Chair, if that's...
Yes, go ahead, Trustee Broughton.
So as discussed in committee, there is work that the administration is doing with school principals. Part of that is ongoing. It's an area of supporting the schools, but also understanding from the schools what some of their concerns and needs are. And in a lot of ways, because the SRO program has been around for a number of years, the schools needed to experience that program no longer being in place, and had to start looking at alternatives. That work is kind of an ongoing element. I think our school administrators and our division administrators do an excellent job of ongoing evaluation and investment in time and resources to ensure that our schools are inclusive, safe, and caring communities. And when there is significant change or investment needed, we have those discussions. The administration does that work, and then it comes to either committee or to the board. So it's an ongoing element, and it's something that we're going to continue discussing within the committee.
Thank you, Trustee Broughton. So After hearing your explanations, thank you, Trustee Broughton. Can we get all those in favor? Is there any opposed to the report? Carried. 5.3, Governance and Public Relations Committee Report number 1-2021 dated December 9th, 2021. Moved by Trustee Shinkowski, seconded by Trustee Broughton, that the Governance and Public Relations Committee Report number 1-2021 dated December 9th, 2021 be received as information. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Trustee Shinkowski, do you have any recommendations for us? Is Trustee Shinkowski here, or was she experiencing IT difficulties also?
She's just muted.
Oh, okay.
I think she's
Sorry
with
with
us.
that. I keep flashing in and out.
Oh.
I'm having problems with it. No, I do not have any recommendations.
Oh,
I think
I think you do have a recommendation for terms of reference.
if it'll please the board, I don't mind. It sounds like Trustee Shinkowski's having technical problems. I don't mind speaking on behalf of the committee as a representative of the committee.
Thank you, Trustee Bolt.
So the recommendation from the Governance and Public Relations Committee is, and I so move, that the terms of reference for the Governance and Public Relations Committee be approved.
Can I get a seconder, please? Trustee Reid, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, Trustee Broughton. New business. Inclusive Education Advisory Committee. Motion notice of which was given by Trustee Reid on December 6, 2021. So moved by Trustee Reid. Do we have a seconder, please? Trustee Broughton. That the Board of Trustees of the Winnipeg School Division establish an advisory committee entitled Inclusive Education, which is comprised of trustees, parents, members of the community to provide recommendations on inclusive education. That trustees blank and blank be nominated as members to the Inclusive Education Advisory Committee. In accordance with Procedural Bylaw 1263, Clause 42.2, states any member who introduces a motion which results in the establishment of a special committee shall chair the committee. That administration, in consultation with the committee, develop the terms of reference for the Inclusive Education Advisory Committee for approval by the Board of Trustees. That the committee provide a report including any recommendations for consideration or approval by the Board of Trustees. Trustee Reid, would you like to speak on this?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Madam Chair. At our last Administrative Inclusion Support Committee meeting held November the 16th, parent members of the committee expressed frustration that changes proposed during the 2021-22 budget discussion that concerned children with disabilities was not brought to their attention prior to the discussion. Parents have also expressed concern that many inclusive education families are not given the opportunity or platform to offer their feedback when it comes to divisional changes made to inclusive education. Most of these families are unable to attend PAC meetings, so are therefore unable to attend our district advisory meetings. Years ago, prior to our current board, there was a parent-run advocacy group that allowed inclusive education parents an opportunity to gather and receive updates as to things happening within the division. This group did not continue after their primary organizer's child aged out at age 21 of the Winnipeg School Division. By having an inclusive education advisory committee similar to our other advisory committees, this will allow the parents and caregivers of students of over 2,000 students with extra needs an opportunity to once again be involved. And I would like to nominate myself and Trustee Broughton to be members of the Inclusive Education Advisory Committee.
Thank you. You got ahead of me. I was going to ask that towards the end, but we can deal with that when we get there. But I accept you got ahead of me there. Is there any discussion on this? Before we begin discussion, before we open it to the floor for discussion, I would like to remind trustees that section 23.1 of procedural bylaw 1263 also states that a member shall not speak longer than 10 minutes nor twice on the same motion unless in explanation of something which may have been misunderstood or in reply to questions not to exceed 2 minutes. Trustee Chen?
Thank you. And thanks to Trustee Reid for bringing forward the motion. I do have a few questions. So do you want me to speak all of the questions at once?
Let's do them all at once, and if I have to ask you to repeat, I will.
Okay. So my first question is you briefly mentioned what's the goal for this committee? As you mentioned, the recent two advisory committees that the board established, the Newcomer Education Committee and Indigenous Education Committee. Well, I can speak for the Newcomer Education Committee as I put forward motion. It was established in response to the issues arose from the State of Equity in Education report, with a clear goal of looking at the calls to action in the report and making recommendations to the board. It is not clear to me the goal for this for the committee that you are proposing. If you can clarify that, or if there is any call to action around it, or any specific issues like the other committees. My second question is, as you said, we have inclusion support committee currently, and the terms of reference for that committee is to ensure appropriate educational programming in WSD, review the continuum of programming and supports within the division for students with exceptional needs, and also the composition of the committee includes directors, 1 trustee, consultants, 5 principals and vice principals, and 10 parent representatives. And with this proposing committee, which would also include trustees, parents, members of the community, how do you see the the relationship between these two committees? And my third question is, the board passed the motion in our last meeting to establish equity office and advisory committee for the equity office by August 1st. How do you see this inclusion education committee relationship with equity office? And my last question is, I would like to recommend to refer this to the governance committee for further review. The governance committee reviews the board committee structure and make recommendations for all board committees. This is to ensure that inclusion committee and inclusion support committee aren't duplicating work. Thank you. So those are my questions.
The goal of this committee is to with the increase in fears of services being reduced within the school division, most parents within the Winnipeg School Division in inclusive education are very worried that they will not have the opportunity to express their concern and get the opportunity to have input on the budget, or even have the information provided to them as to what is happening within the inclusive education community and what is happening within the Winnipeg School Division. For example, last February, we had the PT and OT discussions about having them, the funding formula changed for them. The Inclusive Education Committee and anybody in inclusive education were kind of blindsided by that and had not had the opportunity to have any input on that, except for the few that were able to actually speak to the board and present their thoughts on that. The current committee is comprised of one trustee, director, and a variety of different staff. It is an administrative committee. This meeting happens at noon. I was a couple of years able to increase it from 5 to 10 parents. However, most parents work during the daytime and do not have the opportunity to actually attend these meetings. Plus, they have to actually be invited to attend the meeting. And then, well, with virtual, it's a little bit easier. But then they have to find childcare. They have to find coverage for work. Some parents aren't able to make that particular meeting. By having it as a advisory meeting in the evenings, like all of our other ones, it gives the opportunity for more parents to be involved and be able to give their feedback and have a platform to have their concerns addressed. We have over 2,000, I don't know the exact number, but it's over 2,000 students within the Winnipeg School Division who require the services of inclusive education. And considering how much of our budget goes towards inclusive education, I think they have the right and should feel safe to have a spot to come in and get their concerns addressed. I'm not sure how the equity officer and that will fit in with the inclusive education committee, but I'm sure there are more than adequate, that's the wrong word, our wonderful administration staff will be able to make that work as a team. And because we need to have this in place, I would like to have this place for our February inclusive or February round of advisory meetings in February. I think that there isn't enough time to send it to the governance committee, but I will let the board decide whether they would like that to happen or if they're fine with us creating this, and let's get some business done. I hope that answers your questions.
Trustee Chen, I just need to clarify, were you making a motion that it go to the governance committee?
At this point, I'm happy to listen to other trustees' opinion, but I do have a follow-up after.
Okay, Trustee Broughton.
I'm fine with Trustee Chen finishing her thoughts and having her follow-up question, and I can speak.
Trustee Chen.
So my follow-up question is, so just want to clarify, for example, Newcomer Education Committee, we've had meetings at noontime. So I wonder if that, regarding timing of the meetings, could that be solved internally with the administration? I see it really depends on the availability of the committee members. But I know for Newcomer Education Committee, we've had meeting at noontime. And Also, could you clarify that with the establishment of this committee, do we still have inclusion support committee, so 2 committees?
In terms of the noon meeting, the newcomer is by invite only, whereas this is I would like this to be an advisory committee, just like our district advisories, where any student, any parent or caregiver who has a child with inclusive needs is more than welcome to attend. They don't have to be invited specifically. They can talk to their principal. Information should be sent out to them, talk to their principal, and they should be able to sign on or attend, hopefully in person, because it is so much nicer in person. So that's why the thought is, if we can open it up to all parents, caregivers with students with inclusive needs, a noon meeting is not going to be feasible for that. I forgot your other question. I do apologize. It was the committee. Right. For the time being, for the rest of this year, I would see both committees working in team together. And then come next year with the new board, we could put this towards governance and look at restructuring both. Those are my thoughts.
Trustee Broughton?
I think an element that's being misunderstood in this conversation is that the current committee is an administrative committee, and so that is distinctly different from an advisory committee. I think what we're looking to do is create and establish that advisory committee so that we elevate the interaction with the inclusive education community to that of the board, and have this community advising the board on its decisions, and really creating an avenue for two-way conversations about what is happening in the Winnipeg School Division and what the inclusive community wants to tell the board. So with that, I think there is 2 distinct pieces here. If the administration has the need and the desire to continue an administrative committee, that's within their purview. I definitely think because of the interaction that the administrative committee has with the board, the governance committee will have to have a look at this regardless. But I think we can move forward with the motion as it's been presented, and do that work, walk and chew bubblegum, as they may say, do the 2 pieces of work at the same time, and prepare our communities for the forthcoming budget, and really have that high quality of community engagement that this board seeks to create. I see no reason why anyone would oppose the interaction between board and community, especially with a specialty demographic such as this, as we've already established newcomer, Indigenous, and have had long-standing French language program advisory committees in the Winnipeg School Division. So I think this is part and parcel with the goals that we have set out as a board, and I don't think there really would be a duplication of work. And I look forward to the Equity Office being involved in many of our committees, if not all, going forward.
Thank you, Trustee Broughton. Superintendent Clark?
Thank you, Trustee Adele. My comment was going to be somewhat similar, to say that we still would need an administrative committee for purposes other than the one that Trustee Reid is putting forward tonight. So I don't see that we would need to see how to put them together, because they're serving really 2 different purposes now.
Thank you, Pauline.
Thank you. Trustee Chen, I'm going to ask you again, did you make a motion to refer this to governance?
I would like to recommend to refer this to the governance.
I'm asking you if you're making a motion because a motion was made for something else, so I need to know if you're making a motion to refer it there. If so, we will need a seconder.
I'll see the board's will.
Thank you. So we have a motion. Go ahead, Trustee Chen.
Just as I understand, Ms. Clark, that the need of having administrative committee, so that means, so that would mean having both committees in the future at the same time, because the administration would need that committee and the community would need this committee. So we would have both committees. We really would have both committees.
I think my understanding, what I'm hearing is for now we will do this, and that in the fall it would go to the governance committee and there would be a discussion there to figure out how it would look going forward. That's my understanding of what's been said so far. Okay, so moving forward, we have a motion, we have a seconder. Trustee Reid, you're not going to be the rep, but you're going to be the chair because you've started this committee, so I'm just going to clarify that. You've nominated Trustee Broughton. Is there any other nominations to sit on the committee? Any more? Okay, so we have a chair of Trustee Reid and representative for the board, Trustee Broughton. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. So number 7, agenda information, moved by Trustee Shinkowski, seconded by Trustee Chen, that Information Correspondence IC51-21-15 IC59-21 be received as information. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Shinkowski, seconded by Trustee Reid, that Superintendent's Information Report number 10-2021 be received as information. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Oh, Trustee Reid, were you just voting or did you?
Sorry, I was trying to do two things at once. Yes, I would like to say something. It's not in a discussion. I just would like to on camera say congratulations, Elmwood High School and Laura Bueller on the wonderful award presented to you.
Thank you, Trustee Reid. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Business matters as defined in Rule 44.7, moved by Trustee Reid, seconded by Trustee Dumont, that the board move into business matters as defined in Rule 44.7, carried.
Start in 2 minutes.
Madam Chair, I would like to report on the following. The members of the board discussed negotiations with the United Food and Commercial Workers Union Local Number 832, appointment of membership to Indigenous Education Ad Hoc Committee, MSBA meeting, school lockers, COVID-19, and leaves of absences. Further, I would like to move that the agreement with the United Food and Commercial Union Workers Union Local Number 832 for the period of August 22nd, 2021 to August 21st, 2024 be ratified.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder, please? Trustee Reid. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Trustee Reid that the meeting be adjourned. All in favor? Carried. Good night, everyone. I wish you a safe holiday season.
Yes, and happy holidays to you too.